was always the Jags. It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags. Always the Jags. Always the Jaguars.
Welcome in to Always the Jags. Not gonna lie, guys, this is gonna be a rough one. I know I didn't get a chance to get an episode out last week. I think I was trying to recover from that shellacking at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. And I'm still trying to process it, honestly, and trying to fathom what exactly happened. So I'm gonna try to still talk about it on just what exactly happened. And it's hard to describe because it's like games like this, there's just no words. We were outclassed in every fashion and in every way. And I thought that we could have potentially won. I picked us to beat Buffalo. Man, I was wrong. Man, was I wrong. I had my friend even text me. It's like, yeah, I know your season's not going so well, but and I know you rooted against the Bills when they were facing you, but you can become an honorary Bills fan. So that's kind of the state that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in and their fans are in. And I don't know, like I said, I'm trying to just think about the Bills game. It's like it makes me wonder, do they care? Do the players that go out there on the field, do the coaches, do they care? Not necessarily about football, but do they care about their fans? Do they care that their fans have to go into work on Tuesday, that their fans went into work on Tuesday and, had to listen to everybody saying that their team is a poverty franchise? Do they care about all their friends online who are, trying to hype up the Jaguars and talk about them? And they come out with performances like this and everybody's saying the same thing. Poverty franchise. You guys are always going to be the worst franchise in the NFL. And it's like for years, we thought we had climbed out of at least being last. You know what I mean? Like we have been mediocre for years. And then there were some times where we were last. And it's like, if we could just climb up to, we don't have to be the Ravens elite every single year. We don't have to be, the Chiefs now, very top of the league every single year. Like we're not just average, just an average team. Like the Steelers, they're always good. Don't get me wrong. But the Steelers can hover around 9-8 for 6 straight seasons, and no one will even. It's like with Trevor Lawrence, it was like, okay, this is the spot. We'll at least be there. And it's not like I was like, we should have beat the Bills 47-10, but we had to show up. It's like nobody showed up. It felt like none of the players showed up. And when Trevor finally tried to get things going, it was first of all way too late, and second of all, he missed a throw that, I'm sorry, $55 million quarterbacks don't get to miss. It's just that simple. I don't think Trevor didn't necessarily deserve, the contract that we gave him. But, I said it then and I'll say it now. I still think it was too soon. I don't know if he's trying to prove that he can live up to it, but it's like the first game of the season. I wouldn't put that one completely on him because there was a lot of guys that dropped passes on critical downs. There were some throws he could have put in better situations, but a lot of people were missing passes that shouldn't have, missing catches. The second game of the season, that one was a little bit more on him because he missed a couple of throws and, took some sacks and things like that. I can give more grace because Cleveland's defense is, extremely good. They invested a lot into it, and their offense isn't. But then you also look and Cleveland got beaten by 2 scores by the Giants. So it's like, how good it's like, okay, yeah, let's remember Cleveland's not a good team. We are a worse team than they are because they came into our stadium and beat us and they lost to the Giants. And if you asked us at the beginning of the year, most Jags fans would have been like, oh yeah, we're way better than the Giants. Now it's like, well, I don't know. Are we? This doesn't seem like it because the Giants didn't have any trouble with Cleveland. And then we get to this game and, I wouldn't say like Trevor. I think every single player who stepped onto the field for the Jaguars lost this game because there weren't any good plays to be had anywhere. But I wouldn't say Trevor, like I'll say the game was lost when Trevor threw that pick. That just sealed it. It was over after that. Had he actually hit Brian Thomas Jr., that could have been the fire that we needed to at least make it competitive, but he missed it. And the thing that gets me is like the job of a quarterback in his stature is to make that play and lift his team past those moments. Like when Patrick Mahomes' team is down, he rallies and lifts them past it, you know, in those moments. Like, those moments where it has a chance to like maybe go shift the momentum. That's what the big time money quarterbacks do. And it's like, I guess it just kind of depends on what you consider the going rate because to me, it's like when we were deciding whether to pay Trevor Lawrence, it was like, okay, are we going to pay him the going rate for an elite quarterback, or are we going to pay him the going rate for a starting quarterback? Going rate for a starting quarterback is not $55 million a year. That's the going rate for an elite quarterback. That's Joe Burrow, all those guys who lift their team out of the dust when they're playing. And I think one of the ways you could have compared it is like, hey, Justin Herbert is getting this money and Trevor Lawrence has beaten Justin Herbert twice head to head, you know? And so it's like, okay, well, Trevor Lawrence should be getting that money ahead of him. And it's like on paper that makes sense. But I'm not seeing a $55 million guy out there. I'm just not. And I would have wanted to take a season to see if Trevor can be that guy, not necessarily to see if we need to move on from him, but to see is he worth that kind of money? Because I don't think there is another team in the league that would have paid Trevor that much after his first 3 years in the season. Like, I don't know how the Jaguars were negotiating that, but like, if you're Trevor's agent, like other teams aren't beating down your doors to go get him, especially after last season. Now, after 2022, had he kept playing the same way that he was playing in 2022, well, then yeah, let's pay him everything that he wants because he's playing like that elite quarterback that's going to get us wins and get into the playoffs. Um, because we're close to being mathematically eliminated. So, I mean, I'll say all that to say, like, the Texans game is more about Trevor than this one really is. And like I said, I didn't do this one right after it came out, so it's kind of blended a little bit with the Texans one. So I'll do another episode on the Texans, but it's just, I don't know, it's got to change. I don't know how the Jaguars fix it. The only thing I can say is, like, when we were hiring coordinators and stuff, I don't know if Doug gets attached to people or things like that, or if we just can't attract the top talent. But it's like you look at the Vikings defense and you look at the Jaguars defense, and arguably the Jaguars have more, not even arguably, on paper, the Jaguars have more stars across our defense and better players at every single level than the Vikings, right? The Vikings got Jonathan Grenard. Okay, Josh Hines Allen is supposed to be better than him. Jonathan Grenard's making like 12, 15 million. Josh Hines Allen's making 30. And then we have Eric Armstead and Trayvon Walker, who are supposed to be better than whoever else the Vikings have. They've got some linebackers, Eric Kendricks, a couple of guys. Then we have Foye Oluokun, who's led the league in tackles for what feels like almost 3 seasons straight. I mean, they've got Harrison Smith in the backfield, but he's a 35-year plus safety, 35 years old, I think. And we've got a young guy who's supposed to be ascending in Andre Cisco. Cornerbacks, Byron Murphy Jr. is really good, but Tyson Campbell is making significantly more money than he is. And then we bring in Ryan Nielsen, and he's got guys like Jeremiah Ledbetter on up there on first down next to like Tyler Lacey. And it's like, why are our studs not on the field right now? Like, I understand needing to rotate your defensive line and keeping it fresh, right? But keeping a defensive line fresh means after a couple of plays, like after 3 or 4 plays, I'm going to take my starters out and put my best guys in. The best chance you have to win a game and the best chance you have as a defense to get off of the field as quickly as possible is to put your best players on the field on the first 3 downs, first, second, and third. Eric Armstead, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker should all be on the field on first, second, and third down for the very first drive of whatever team is playing. I don't understand the substitution logic at all, because if they get a stop, the defense comes off the field. That's the whole point. And your best chance to get a stop is with your best players. And you can't really say like, oh, we don't want to tire them out, because it's like he hasn't been playing. Like on the first snap, Armstead hasn't been playing to be tired out. Neither has Walker. Foye Lucan is playing like 80% of the snaps. What is that? He's the captain of our entire defense. He's the heart and soul. And now he's out for a few weeks. And I mean, like, that kind of makes the argument, because it's like, well, he was hurt, but he was hurt. That's why we only had him playing 80% of the snaps. But it's also like, okay, if he was on the field more often, like, I would need to look at all those plays where Foye wasn't on the field and see what happened. Like, if Foye wasn't on the field when Tyreek Hill caught that 80-yard touchdown, I would have fired Ryan Nielsen right there. Because again, to not have your captain, because that was a defensive breakdown. And when you don't have your captain on the field, defensive breakdowns can happen. And it's like, sure, on one hand, having him play less lessens the chance of him getting hurt. However, having him and all your best players play more often means that they can get off the field, which also lessens the chance of them getting hurt, because they're not on the field as much, because Eric Armstead can stop the run much better than Tyler Lacey can. Eric Armstead can get off a block much better than Jeremiah Ledbetter, or at least should be 17 million, reasons why. Like, there's 51 million reasons why Eric Armstead should be better at getting off of a block than Ledbetter or Davis. So I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know if in camp Nielsen is seeing, but I feel like every time Armstead is on the field, good things are happening. We're getting pressure in the pocket. And, I know he wants to play big end. And to me, like, that's fine. He can play big end. That doesn't mean Trayvon Walker comes off the field. That means you just move Trayvon Walker inside, because he's still better at 3 technique than Ledbetter and Hamilton. And our only issue is definitely not defense. Like, our main issue is definitely offense. But if you're telling me our defense could have been better just by not rotating, or by having a rotating system that actually makes sense, like, some of these 1-score games could be completely different. Like, if we're talking about the Browns game, where Deshaun Watson converted like a 2nd and 20 to Jerry Jeudy, and that was one of the first plays of that drive that led the Browns all the way down the field to be able to keep the Jaguars from getting the ball back. If you're telling me that our best players were not on the field, I'm losing my mind. Like, I'm losing it. You're literally asking to lose games. And I don't know if Doug has and Ryan Nielsen have a lot of faith in these guys in camp, but it's like, you look on the field and whatever you saw in camp, like, yeah, they might have beaten guys in camp, but they're not beating guys on the NFL. Like, Yasir Abdullah is not beating starting level tackles. He's just not there. I mean, I wish he was. I have nothing against him, but he's not. So why are we doing all these defensive substitutions? So yeah, it's really hard to keep going on this one, because again, we just got smacked around by the Bills. They were a superior opponent. We failed in every single way. There's no other way to put it. So I would say hope it gets better next week, but of course, everyone watching this knows what happened next week. So, Jags fans, I mean, try to stay happy. Maybe we can write some letters to Ryan Nielsen to be like, can you please explain to us what your philosophy is? Can you explain to us how your philosophy is working? That's what I want to know. I want Ryan Nielsen to explain to me how is putting these players on the field, not how it's supposed to work. Show me how it's working right now and making our defense better, because I don't see it. And from that perspective, Mike Caldwell seems like he was a whole lot better, because he actually had the best players on the field. And I'm also like, how did we not get Brian Flores? Like, that would have been a great hire. And look at what he did with scheme with a bunch of players and just putting them in the right position, but putting his best players in the right position. So, yeah, we'll have to take a deep breath, Jags fans. We've only got 14 more weeks to go. And try to remember, as depressed as we might be right now, it was always the Jags.